everyone. In this video we will discuss about solar electric power generation. Solar electric power generation, or it is nothing but electricity generation by photovoltaic cell. So this is a very popular topic, and we need to know how solar energy can be directly converted into electrical energy, and the electrical energy is directly supplied to the grids. The advantages are many and applications are also many, because it is such a simple device. Almost there is no moving parts in this device. Once the panels or PV cells are fixed exactly to the sun position, facing the sun position, then there will be nothing moving part uh, which is going to abstract, or which is going to absorb the energy. So directly all the energy can be utilized and supplied to the grid, and that makes this lightweight also, and hence it is also used in uh, space applications. Everywhere you can see solar panels are nowadays very popular and used in most of the places. This is one such example. So solar cells, this is one such examples where it is used in the space applications. In the next slide we can see that individual solar cell and combination of solar cell. Here we can see that direct conversion of light energy into electricity is what the principle of solar PV cell. These PV cells will directly convert light into electricity. The primary device which generate the power is called solar cell. The small blue color area what we can see on the screen, it is a photovoltaic cell, and the working principle of one cell will be same as all the cell, because these cells will generate power which will be connected in series or in parallel connection, so that you will get the large power requirement. It will supply the large power requirement, or we will get the good quantity of electrical energy. And what it is called is, if one cell is there, then it's an individual cell, that is photovoltaic cell. And if this one cell, if it is combined with many cells, that will be called as module. Module will be hardly somewhere around 3 feet or something like that, and those modules, if connected to each other in a row or something, that is called as panel, and the many panels constitute to the array. So this array, if it is assembled over a large area, that is going to become a large solar power plant. And the solar PV cells need not to work at higher temperatures. As I told, there will be not much moving parts, except if required a tracking system may be installed, but otherwise, unlike other methods of energy extraction like solar pond or solar engine, which has so many moving parts like cylinder, piston, then pumping assembly, pipelines, everything includes for the losses. But in case of solar PV cell, it need not to work or operate for higher temperature, and that's one advantage. And we can see the efficiency of solar panel is nearly 25%. Here it is mistaken, it is 25%. Theoretical efficiency of the power generation itself for a solar PV cell is 25%, but what we get actually is somewhere near 10 to 15% of the efficiency. What it means, 10% of 1 kilowatt is 100 watts. So if you have a solar panel of 1 meter square and you sunlight is giving 1000 watts of energy, solar panel will give us only 100 watts of energy. That means 90% of the energy is not utilized. So this is a very major drawback of the solar panel. But okay, even if you improve that maximum, what we can reach is the theoretical efficiency, hardly that is 25%. So it means remaining 75% is not at all possible to extract from the energy what reaches the earth by the sun. And what is efficiency? What is efficiency? Efficiency is the power developed per unit area. So for unit area, whatever the power developed, that is divided by total power that comes towards the panel. The total power that comes towards the panel. So this is the efficiency of the solar panel. So generally the power developed per unit area, I have told, say some 100 watt, and what actually sun gives is 1.3 kilowatt. So if we take the ratio, we will get the efficiency of the solar panel. And in solar panels, the main component is the silicon. Generally, it need not be always silicon, but silicon is preferred as it has free electrons in it, so that we can have a doping option, so we can get n-type, p-type semiconductors, and we have junction, which is p-n junction, which can increase the potential in the circuit, or produce the EMF, we can say electromotive force in the circuit. So that is why silicon is preferred, but there are many other organic materials are there, and some other materials which can act as a semiconductor material can be used. Silicon is also one semiconducting material. And then these solar panels, starting from small size to very large size, we can get a wide variety of sizes of plants, solar plants. So I can show you some example where we'll see smallest to largest of the plants. Yeah, here we see from the smallest to largest of panels. So we can use that. We can see here the smallest solar panel is this one, and there are many largest solar panels available. So wide variety sizes of power generation is possible. So power generation is possible, different power generation. And here what we can see is this one used on the roadside to show the travelers, actually vehicles are going then to exactly show in the night where the exactly road ends. So that is solar lights which are placed on the roads. Exactly, these are fitted on the road and they are very small. The heights may be in the range of 1 inch or something like that. Very small size solar panels placed on the roads. This is solar car which runs with the help of solar radiations. The panels will convert the energy and it will propel the wheels. Then we have a solar signal, then some of the space applications, and wide varieties of applications, like in many other applications we can see the solar panels. And to say, in aircrafts also solar panels are used now. Autonomous or independent only with the help of solar power, the flights are running and that are being tested successfully in some countries with efficient transportation system. So maybe in future we can see a plane which runs only on solar power, but carrying passengers is very difficult as the load capacity is very less. But we can see the flights running with only solar power. Here it's an automobile, but aircrafts will also fly with only solar power. Next we see important parts of the solar cell. So what are the things that solar cell will constitutes? So it has a solar cell array. I have told, or I have shown you in the picture, the individual cells connected to each other in a series or parallel connection, and they constitute a model, and many models will make one array. That array with load leveler, as solar light or solar radiations are intermittent, so we cannot rely completely on it and it varies with respect to many factors. So we need a load leveler which gives constant power supply to the grid. Then storage system, in order to compensate for the sudden loss of light due to the weather change, we need to use the stored energy. So for that we need a storage system like battery or some other mechanical form of storage system. Then tracking system. If we have to extract more energy, we need to face the solar panels exactly normal to the solar radiations. So solar tracking system will keep always track of the solar radiations so that we will get the maximum power output. The whole solar module is sealed with a protective layer, and that protection is to save the device from corrosion, pollution and other weather problems. In this slide we will discuss how PV cell will generate the electromotive force. When it absorbs the solar radiation, it creates an electric current in the external circuit. So the main process which involves in a PV cell is there are three steps. One is the light should be absorbed. Second thing, the holes or positive charge and the electrons or the negative charge that should be formed, and it should be separated and it is made to move towards the edge. Then these charges should be taken out so that it will supply the electric current to the external circuit. The three steps: one is absorb, then create charges, the third one is take it out and supply to the grid. So these three steps can be discussed in depth in the next slide. And to do this we have some devices which are used, and that is semiconductors, drift field and electrode on the edges that we will discuss in the later. Drift field is generated at the depletion region. It is nothing but an electric field which allows the electrons to cross the border. Then we have semiconductor, we know, silicon material, and then we have electrodes. Electrodes is just a conductor. Next, to work with a PV cell, we need to have a semiconductor. We will come to this slide later, but here if you see, we have semiconductor junction, N-type silicon, P-type silicon, we have PN junction. This blue and green junction is PN junction. So what is PN junction? First, we should know what is PN junction. Here, if we see, a PN junction is formed when we connect two types of semiconductors. One is P-type semiconductor, other one is N-type semiconductor. But how do these semiconductors are formed? How do these semiconductors are formed? Very first, you should know what is actually doping. What is doping means, if you have a semiconductor and that semiconductor, if it is in pure form, it will not be applicable to any of the electronic work. That means it will not allow the electricity to flow through it. So what we can do is, we can take that semiconductor in its purest form, we dope it with the impurities. What we do is, we will insert some impurities on the surface of that semiconductor, and these impurities are such that it will be releasing extra electron in the material. So the impurity what we dope will release one extra electron in the in the material itself. That electron will make the whole device as a conductor. So because of that extra electron, we can see that behavior changes from non-conductor to conductor. It is possible by two ways. The first one is called N-type conductor, second one is called P-type conductor. In both the cases, there will be one charged element, either electron should be there or a hole should be there, that will carry the electricity. So if you can see this picture, this is germanium as taken as an example here, but we will discuss, we'll consider this as an example and we'll discuss as it is. I will just zoom. So in this picture, what you can see is one second, this is out of frame. Yeah, here see, this Ge is an element, a semiconducting material, and it has some electrons in it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let us say 4 electrons in it. And these 4 electrons are stable. So then there is no extra electron in the material. What we do is, we will insert a pentavalent impurity. Pentavalent impurity means here 4 electrons are there. A pentavalent impurity will have 5 electrons. So these 5 electrons, such as arsenic or phosphorus, will have 5 electrons. If that is doped inside this material, there will be one extra electron released to the material. So the 4 electrons will get bonded, but remaining 1 electron becomes free electron. So that means your material will have an electron to conduct the electricity. Earlier it was normal, so there was nothing to conduct the electricity. Now we have one free electron in the material because of the addition of the impurity. This process is called doping, and we have now n-type semiconductor in our hand. So you can see we have n-type semiconductor in the hand. So here we have one free electron. This is free electron, and this phosphor is an pentavalent impurity. Yeah. So like this, we now understood how a p-type semiconductor is done. Similarly, n-type semiconductor, we have discussed about n-type, this is about n-type semiconductor. And next, for p-type semiconductor, instead of adding impurity with 5 electrons, we will add impurity having only 3 electrons. If 3 electrons are added, one here, 2 here, and 3 here, then here there is no electron. So here there will not be electron if this is a 3 electron material. Now it is 5 electron material, but if we add a 3 electron material, these 2 electrons will not be there, only 1, 2, 3 will be there. So remaining this place which is unoccupied will be free to move as a free charge, and that is called hole. That part is called as hole, and that hole will also contribute to the electricity conduction. So what we have observed is, for n-type semiconductor there will be one extra electron, and for p-type semiconductor there will be one extra hole. And these two type of semiconductors, p-type semiconductor having holes, this is hole, you can see here this is hole, and n-type conductor which has electron. These two, when they are made a junction, just they are connected to each other, they will form a p-n junction. At that junction, the electrons will try to cross the junction because of the extra electrons and holes which are present in it. But there is a character. The character is like, it is easily once junction is made, these electrons, though it wants to cross the this junction, it cannot cross the junction because it needs minimum potential or minimum number of potential of electrons and hole deposition at this junction, such that it can cross the junction. This is the character of this p-n junction. So all of a sudden it will not move as and when. So that is not a normal conductor. This conductor has some minimum potential. Only after that potential it can cross the junction, and that is dependent on the energy what is applied to it. So in that case, what happens? Now it comes to the solar panel. So here that junction is allowed to flow the electrons with the help of solar radiation. So when solar radiation enters into this junction, when radiation enter the junction, that will allow the electrons and holes to cross the junction. So what we can see is, we can see the electromotive force. So from I will just explain the pictures. You have understood the concept of how PN junction is formed. So in this you have seen how PN junction is formed and how N-type semiconductor is done. Now we will discuss the actual working of the solar photovoltaic cell. First I will explain the parts. There will be a glass cover. Here this is a glass cover. Then there will be there will be many actually, but this is on the one surface. On the top surface there will be a conducting electrodes. These are conducting metallic electrodes or strips. So this is solar light coming and falling onto the junction, and we have N-type semiconductor, we have P-type semiconductor, and they are made or sandwiched one over the other to form a junction. It is just like sandwich, it's just made a junction, and this junction will carry electrons and holes at the border. So at the junction there will be electrons and holes which are ready to cross the junction, but they don't have enough energy to cross the junction. So now here we see the base. So the base is also made with the help of some metallic material, conducting material. Thereby we can see the conductivity, so that we can take the current which is generated at the cell to the external grid. So that is how we can take the current from this circuit to the external grid. So now the process, as I have explained, the solar radiation comes and falls at the junction. So there will be a very small layer, very thin layer of N-type silicon, so that the light passes through this layer and falls at the junction. Because of this energy or the photon which is available, the electrons start flowing through the junction, and this flow of electrons and holes through the junction will create an electromotive force or voltage between this top layer and this bottom layer. So when these two, top layer and bottom layer, are connected to external circuit, we will get the electricity. So the same concept I will explain with another diagram, which will be easy for you to understand again. So here in this diagram we can see the same process, but with little clarity. So first what happens, solar radiation comes and falls on the junction. So this is energy from sunlight, and here you can see holes and electrons present in the junction. So here I am drawing the line between the junction. So when the solar radiation comes and falls on this junction, so as I have shown in the earlier slide, that there will be extra electrons and holes present near this junction. In this slide I have shown you that there will be extra electrons and holes in the junction, so that when it gets the energy from solar radiation, they will start crossing the junction. Once they start crossing the junction, the electromotive force or EMS or voltage can be seen in the circuit. This is actually called as current. So what is current generated? Because of the motion of the electrons, free electrons, which are formed by the p-n junction or with the help of semiconducting material, we get the electrons moving in the circuit, and that is called the current. And this is because the photon which comes from the sun actually provides minimum energy required to cross the border. So the electrons and holes to cross the border. And the flow of electrons through the external conductor constitutes an electric current, which will continue as long as more free electrons and holes are formed by the solar radiations. So as long as the free electrons and holes are formed by solar radiation, the current will keep on flowing. And this is the base of solar photovoltaic conversion. This is generally called as PV cell. This is how a PV cell works. In this video, we see how p-n junction electric field works. So what we see here is a p-type junction and n-type semiconductor and p-type semiconductor. It is p-n junction here. Before they are connected to each other, before making junction, they will have so many free electrons and holes. As soon they get connected to each other, these electrons somehow tries to cross the boundary, and they will cross also. So they will get deposited here, and they some more again tries to come here, but they will not have a space to enter. So slowly like that, these electrons which tries to move here and holes which tries to diffuse, they actually diffuse into the other material. And because of this diffusion, some part of the energy, some part of the electrons and holes will cross the boundaries, but still they will try to cross to some extent. After that, there will be barrier. That means there will not be any space to come and enter into this region. These will try to pull them back, and here also there is a barrier which will not allow these further electrons to come here. So this, at some point there will be a saturation where these two electrons and holes, they will stop at this junction, causing the diffusion potential. This diffusion potential will be a blockage or something which is a strong hold for the electrons to flow or holes to flow or cross the boundaries. So they will be waiting for some energy to come and act on this, so that they will enter the other side of the junction. So what actually we see here is a this is a conduction band, and this is a valence band. And before doping, there will be something called Fermi energy. This Fermi energy EF is nothing but the potential of the electrons to enter into the body. So this is the potential of the electrons to enter into the body and interact with the surroundings. It is something related to atomic level physics. And right now you just know that before doping, the energy levels were same, and that means the material was having no potential to cross the boundaries. The electrons in this material was not in a position to cross the boundary. Because of the doping, there have been created some energy in the valence band as well as in the conduction band. This difference is formed when the material is brought in contact with the p-n junction. So this material is converted into p-n junction, thereby there is a formation of diffusion potential. And this diffusion potential is there, and here there is waiting for the energy so that the electrons and holes will cross the boundary. and when the sunlight comes and falls on the junction, so this line what we draw here is the junction. So when sunlight comes and hits this junction, at this junction, so it gives the sufficient energy for the electrons to cross the boundary, so that whatever the electrons present here, these electrons start moving towards the p-type semiconductor, and the holes which are present here, they will also start moving towards the n-type semiconductor, p-type semiconductor. The holes here start moving towards the p-type semiconductor and electrons towards the n-type semiconductors. So because of this motion, we can see there is a electromotive force developed, or EMF developed in the PV cell or PN junction. So this is how electric field of PN junction can be seen, and the light, how the light actually reflects the generation of electromotive force or potential difference between these two junctions. Once if we connect a bulb somewhere outside, if we connect a bulb somewhere outside here to this two junction here, the electrons and holes which travel here, they will try to enter the circuit, and they will actually glow the bulb. So this is how PN junction electric field is seen, and the same process can be seen as animation. I'll just play the video. So in this video we can see how the doping is done and how electrons form. So what we see here is a semiconductor, which is a silicon, which is pure form without any zero Fermi energy level. So the valence band has no electrons to conduct. There is no conductivity, it's an insulator. Now they are adding impurity, that is called doping, so which can release electron, or it can release hole, any charge. So what we see is blue and red, two things. One is blue color, one is electrons. So because of the impurity, there is a free electrons that move, and because of the positive charges on the right side will be created, or holes will be created because of the doping. So one is here what we see is a doping with the extra electron, here doping with the less electron. That means holes are formed. N-type semiconductor and p-type semiconductors, these two are now sandwiched between each other, and there forms a junction, and by some time these holes and electrons try to escape the boundary. Slowly they will start escaping the boundaries, and there if a junction is formed at this place. Gradually, while they are free to move here and there, they will try to escape the boundary, and up to the some potential. Once the potential is full, once the potential is over, then they will stop crossing the boundary, but they will still be waiting to move again back to their positions, but they need some external energy. Now the sunlight is falling on the junction, so when the sunlight falls at the junction, these holes and electrons at the barrier gets broken up, and they will try to cross the boundaries. So this process occurs as soon as the solar energy falls at the junction. So this continuously, now they are free to move and cross the boundaries, thereby resulting separation of the positive and negative charges across the junction is called a voltage. So this is how EMF is generated, and once you connect the end of these junctions with the wires, you will get the power. That is how the electron or electromotive force is generated by PV cell. In this slide, we see the characteristics of a solar cell. VI characteristics, voltage current characteristics. So we can know how voltage varies with respect to current, change in current. So in the x-axis we have voltage, in the y-axis we have current. So along x-axis voltage, along y-axis we have drawn the current, and we have some term along y-axis, that is ISC, and here we have VOC. So ISC is nothing but the short circuit current, and VOC is the open circuit voltage. So short circuit current is the maximum current that occurs in a circuit at design conditions, and open circuit current is open circuit voltage is the voltage that occurs when the circuit is when the load is not connected. So open circuit voltage occurs when there is no load connected, and we have maximum power point. So that is usually occurs at the bend section of this curve, and the line which joins the maximum power point is IMP and VMP. So voltage, maximum voltage point and maximum power current point, and the characteristics of power with respect to voltage can be seen as it increases linearly up to peak point, and after reaching P max, this curve comes down all of a sudden to 0 after reaching P max. When we increase the voltage, the power increases linearly, and up to some point, after that point it drops immediately with a small change in voltage. And coming to current characteristics, at initial stage the circuit will have some current, and with increase in voltage, that current in the circuit will remain same up to some point, and after that it immediately comes down, and it reaches VOC at some point. With increase in voltage, when it reaches VOC, the current also comes down, and it becomes 0. That means open circuit. When the circuit is open, the current is also 0 at that voltage. So this is about characteristics of solar cell. To see the definitions, short circuit current of a solar cell is the maximum current that a solar cell can deliver without harming the its own constructions, and it is measured by the short circuiting the terminals of the cell, and it produces the maximum output current. So this is nothing but a short circuit current, where we see the maximum current in the solar cell without any damages in the circuit. Then we have maximum current density. You just divide this by area. So current density is nothing but the maximum circuit current divided by area. And open circuit voltage VOC I have told. VOC is nothing but when there is no load connected to the cell, the voltage which is measured across the terminals is called as open circuit voltage, VOC. It is VOC. Then maximum power means it is the power which is delivered at standard test conditions. and the maximum will occur usually at the bend point, and it is shown in the VI characteristics as a point Pm. Next important topic is the maximum power, that is Im, which occurs at the maximum power point. The maximum current occurs at the maximum power point. Maximum voltage occurs at the maximum power point. So this is maximum voltage Vm occurs at Pm, and the fill factor of a solar cell is the ratio between the product of the current and voltage at maximum power point. This is nothing but Vm Im. So this is Vm and Im. The product of it is the ratio of the product of these two, voltage and current, at maximum power point, and to the product of short circuit current and open circuit voltage of the solar cell. This is nothing but fill factor is we will take the product of this point and this point divided by this point and this point. So this is about solar cell characteristics. And also we have one more thing, that is maximum conversion efficiency. Maximum conversion efficiency means as sun is producing some power, that is somewhere around 1.3 kilowatt per meter square of power, and that power is the maximum power, that is maximum power. But what is converted here is what we get, Pm, that is the maximum power. So this is what we are getting, but P sun is the power what is sun giving. So the conversion efficiency can be obtained by ratio of Pm by P sun. So this is the about the conversion efficiency of the solar cell.